Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. Welcome back or welcome to my channel. I have not been on YouTube for about 3 years now. Actually, today is, I believe, July 8th, 2026. And the last time I've been on YouTube was in 2023. So, like I said, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My channel is called Sips of Sweet Tea. My name is Tamu. Actually, it's twice Tamu Tamu, which means sweet in Swahili. So that's why it says sweet tea. You get it? Okay, the play on words. So yeah, my channel is called Sips of Sweet Tea, and this is just my life glorifying God and basically you guys coming along on a journey and watching my lifestyle channel, glorifying God, letting God do what he needs to do in my life so that my life will be a testimony. That's basically my channel. I do like to do a lot of other things, which you will come along and you will see. But this today is just an update from my last videos of where I am in life. Basically, I stopped off vlogging because a lot has transpired since the time that I last was on YouTube. So I needed time to basically process and go through the steps with God by myself without worrying about picking up the camera, without worrying about editing. And to be quite honest, I didn't have it in me to do all of this stuff. Honestly, I didn't have it in me to pick up the camera. I was in a lot of low, dark places at some times, so I couldn't. And that's where I'm being transparent and kind of letting you know where I am now and what happened from the last time I vlogged to now. So the last time I was on here, I was basically telling you guys that I was going to be evicted. No, I wasn't going to be evicted. I'm not here to tell my whole testimony. I'm just here to basically not tell my whole testimony, but like tell my whole story. I'm not here to tell my whole story. I'm just here to tell you where I am so that as I move forward in my vlogs, it's not like there's this gap of you was in 2023, like where you are now. So the last time I was on here, I was saying that I wasn't going to get evicted because this is what I felt like the Lord was telling me. But that was actually very much in error. I did get evicted, and I learned a lot of things along the way. In God's character, in my character, in the enemy, and what you're hearing, what you're not hearing, and things of that nature. So I did get evicted in January 2024. From then, I have been homeless. And I am still homeless to this day. And when I say homeless, it's not that I don't have a roof over my head. I don't have a place where I can legally call my own. That's basically my status of homelessness, right? I don't have a place that I can legally call my own. So, like I said, I was evicted. I basically lost everything that was in the house. If you go back to my previous videos, you can see the videos, me in the house, where I was. I basically lost everything that was in that house. I did have an opportunity to go back into the house by the grace of God to get my brother's stuff because he did have some stuff in the garage, in the basement. So I was able to take some things at that time. But to be in all honesty, 2 days later after I went in the house and got a little bit of the stuff, I lost it again. It confirmed to me that what God was doing in my life and what I was feeling and what he told me, which I will get into a little further in of like where I am or what I learned, right? So from then, I went to a friend's house. I stayed there. Then I went to a family member's house, which then I got kicked out. They kicked me out. So then I was placed into an apartment where that was by the grace of God. And then now I am with my brother. So now I'm staying with my brother and I am basically kind of like picking up the pieces of moving forward. I still don't know what's happening in that area. Honestly, I'm only following the the leading and the grace of God letting me know what's my steps in front of me. Like where am I going? I'm not making my own decisions. I'm literally leaving into God's hands, and I'm letting him lead me through this, because that is what I've learned in this situation. I realized that my life is not my own. This is God's life. I'm only here because of God's grace. And yeah, so that's basically what happened. I got evicted, and I have been homeless since 2023. No, 2024, January 2024. So ever since then, I've been homeless because I don't have a place of my own, and I barely have anything. I literally left with the clothes on my back. And it has been a tough, tough time. I mean, tough. It has been very tough. I've literally went bald. I lost hair in the front of my head. It was not easy. But one thing I will tell you is that God will never leave you. So another part of my story is of another loss, which is I'm still grieving with this loss. If you know my vlogs, if you know me, you know that I had a dog, and her name was Lady. And I named her Lady Stark after Game of Thrones because I am a Game of Thrones fan. Well, I was a Game of Thrones fan. I still like it, but it was during that time when Game of Thrones was like booming, and I love it. And I named her after one of the Beowulfs in the first season. So anyway, I had a dog named Lady, and I just recently lost her this year, March 31st, 2026. I lost her. And if you know me, then you know that I loved that dog down. Like I said, I'm still dealing. I'm still dealing with her death. But this is all a part of this process that I'm going through, because when I tell you that was the last thing I would have ever thought that God would have removed from me, would have been Lady. But I do have to trust God and trust that his plan is better than my plan, and he knows what's best. And I just feel in my spirit that I just could not move. I could not have moved on with her. I don't know why. I don't have any revelation behind it. I just know that she's gone, and I know that God has the final say in everything. So it's for a reason, it's for purpose, and that's what I have to have trust in. And that's what I'm doing. I trust God, and that's that. So yeah, Lady's gone. She passed away March 31st, 2026. She was not sick. It was actually very tragic. It was very tragic. She suffocated on a potato chip bag that she got into the bag that I packed for moving. I was actually moving the day she died, and I was going back and forth. Should I go volunteer or should I stay home and actually pack? And I made the decision to go to volunteer. And I came home and she was dead with a potato chip bag around her head. Tragic. I could not believe it. I was in shock. Like, I can't even find the words to explain the feeling. And still the feeling that I'm feeling now is just, I don't know. But I'm just updating you that moving forward, there will be no vlogs of Lady. If you're looking for Lady, she's not with me. She's gone. She's with the Lord. And yeah, I pray for that dog sometimes more than I could have prayed for myself. So I do, in prayer, ask God, and I'm still, waiting for the answer. If he's ever going to answer me, he doesn't have to. God doesn't have to answer me. I just have to trust and know that God is in control of this, and this was it was for purpose, and that's it. So Lady's gone. What's next? What have I learned? I have learned through this process of getting evicted, being homeless, like being without a house, without losing everything that I've ever worked for, losing lady, struggling financially. I mean, I have learned to be 100% dependent on God. Do not trust man, trust God. I have learned to literally depend on God. When you're going through like these type of seasons where people say, people call this the wilderness season. It's your wilderness season where God is refining you by fire. You're being refined by fire. You're walking through fire where God is transforming your character. He's uprooting things from you so that he can place in you what he needs to place in you because of where you're going, where, his purpose that he has for you, right? So he needs to do things with you in order to move you forward in purpose. When you're going through these things, you would think that there will be certain people who are, around you and be supportive. And I'm not going to say that they're not. They are there, but they may not be there in the capacity in which you thought they would. So it is an eye opener. It is a reality check that honestly, all you have is God. And I'm not talking about your friends. I'm not just talking about your friends. I'm talking about family, your friends. Literally, it will be the most random person that will be the most supportive person during this time. And it's just so interesting. It's just so interesting. But you know what? I also attribute that to God and how he positions people around you and the timing in which he decides to bring you through a wilderness season. He will bring you through a wilderness season during the time where you may have had an argument with a friend. So, or, where you're just isolated because he wants that time with you. He wants you to look towards him. He doesn't want you to look outwardly. He wants you to look inwardly at the Holy Spirit within you, to depend on him, cry out to him, ask on him. Matthew 7:7-11. Ask, seek, knock. Ask, seek, knock. Ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and the door will be open. He's always asking. He is nothing too little for you to call on the Lord. It doesn't matter if it's an eyelash that is bothering you or you want it to grow. Call on him for it. He's the one who created you. So I have learned a lot. My character has changed. I don't worry about the mundane things. Like, I don't worry about things that I used to sit and worry about. When you're stripped to nothing, the the things that you think about are more of substance. If I would say so, it's more of substance. You're looking at the inward and not the outward. I don't worry about like where my finances come from. I know God has me, and I must say that through this all, I have never needed for anything. Shelter has always been there, provided. Financially, money has always been provided, no matter if it was, I only was walking around with $5 in my pocket because that's what I needed. That's all I needed was $5 in my pocket because the train was $3, right? So I was left with two. And then I had my EBT to get food. You know what I'm saying? So whatever it is that I needed, I always had shelter, food, money, no matter how little it was, um, emotional support from the Lord. Um, it I've always had what I needed. Oh, clothes. I still don't have a lot of clothes. Like I said, I lost everything in there. I still don't have a lot of clothes, but I always had what I needed, no matter what. The generosity of others, how God placed it on somebody's heart to be able to give me money or donate something to me, or take me out to eat. I am grateful. I am grateful. And God has shown his hand throughout this whole situation. So it has shown me, and what I have learned is God will never leave you. And for you to know that it's God in the situation is that he will never send you somewhere where there's no provision. And that's all throughout the Bible. And that has been my experience. So there's a lot more that I've learned, but for the purposes of this video, to make it not, make this video, so I don't make this video so long. um I'm just letting you know that God will never leave you. That's what I've learned. I've learned that God will never leave you, and he will reform your character to where exactly he needs you to be, so that he can move you to through purpose, his purposes, not your purpose, not what you've orchestrated and thought you want your life to be. No, what he wants your life to be. And that's what I know he's doing with me. So I have fully surrendered to him. So where he wants me, I go. Where he doesn't want me, I don't go. So I'm gonna just telling you basically of where I am now. So currently, what the heck is that? So currently, I am, like I said earlier, that I am staying with my brother. God bless him and his my sister-in-law for taking me in. I I just want to give this little sidebar. I have never asked anyone to take me in for shelter. I promise you, I've never. From the time that I was evicted, it's like people were opening their doors for me. I've seen God's hand through this all. Soon as I was evicted, I was speaking to my friend on the phone. She tells me to come. The girl doesn't even like animals. And I'm like, come? And she's like, yes, come with me and the dog. I'm like, okay. While I'm at her house, another family member calls me and tells me to come and stay with them. I was like, okay, which was very weird. Not weird. I won't say weird. It's very out of the ordinary because this person and I never had the most level of relationships. Like it was always rocky, right? But it was very out of the ordinary that this person was calling me and telling me to come and live with them, which was short lived because that was the person that told me to basically they kicked me out within 2 weeks or a week of me being there. I can't really remember. But even then, when me being kicked out, another family member who was leaving a situation that was bad in their life told me to go with them and live with them. And then they wind up leaving that apartment that they told me to move in with them. And I was in an apartment by myself with Lady for free, just living there until the lease was up. And then after that lease was up, my mother spoke to my brother on behalf of me without even telling me that she was, and told my brother that Tamu needs somewhere to go. And the next time I spoke to my brother, he was like, "Oh, you need to stay with us? All right, come on." I was like, "Wait, what?" So where am I now? I'm with my brother, to say the least. And I was just saying that to just say that I never asked for anything. It was like door after door after door was being opened for me because God's hands is in this. God's hands is in this. And that's what gives me hope, and it gives me peace. It gives me hope and peace in moving in this because it's not just arbitrarily being done to me. It's a purpose to this, and I know that God is doing this for a reason. So it's not like the enemy is just pulling me left and right, and I'm just losing things for no reason, and I'm being attacked and everything. No. So that's what gives me peace and hope. And what I wanted to say as well is that earlier, before I was evicted, in prayer, God told me that I'm going to need the faith of Job. So with that is now that I understand what he meant, the faith of Job. If you don't know the Job story, please go read the Bible, go read the chapter of Job. And just a brief description, he loses everything and he had to have faith that he was going to be restored. Make a long story short. So that's where my faith is. That's where I'm at, where I am now in my faith, that I know that God is going to restore me, but I'm not too much focused on what God is going to do. I'm focused on the process, right? I'm focused on what he's trying to do with me now and not where he's taking me. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. And that was a process for my mind to get to focusing on the process and not always like, when is this going to end? Like, Lord, like, oof, I went through it. I have been through it. I have been to the pits. And it brings me to one of my favorite scriptures, which is Psalms, I believe 139, verse 8, where it says that, hold on. It says, hold on. Okay. If I ascend into heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, you are there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, you are there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, you are there. Psalm 139, verse 8. And when I tell you that is so what I felt, I was making my bed in hell. I was making my bed in hell to the point where I was having like suicidal thoughts. I did not want to be here. I did not want to be here. It was bad, like bad. I am in a much better place though. I am in a much better place. Like I said, being with my brother and his family, my nieces and nephews, being around family, I don't have the feeling of loneliness anymore. Even though I had Lady, it was a very terrible feeling of loneliness. That feeling of loneliness is no joke. Being lonely is no joke, especially when you're trying to like ask people around you who you think is close to you and they're keep like pushing you away. But that's all in the process because God wants you to deal with rejection. Not just rejection of the world, rejection of family and friends as well, right? So that's that. So now I'm also in therapy. I've been in therapy for a year now. I volunteer at this place called Table to Table on one of the days of the week. I'm not trying to get stalked, so one of the days of the week. Yeah, I go to church frequently. I go to church every Sunday. I try to go Fridays. No. I try to go to church on Wednesdays for Bible study. Try to go to church on Fridays for like Fire Night Deliverance service and Sundays. So that's how basically I spend my time. And also I'm in the library right now where I spend my time like reading cookbooks and stuff. I still love to cook, but because of my situation right now, I'm not really able to cook and, not adapt, but like orchestrate meals the way that I want to. I'm basically in like a survival mode type of thing. So what I can eat is what I can eat and what I can't. And that's that. So yeah, guys, that is where I am. And that is kind of an update of what has transpired. And yeah, moving forward in my vlogs, I will, of course, probably tell more of my story as I go on. And I don't know, I just don't feel like for YouTube right now that it's just time to sit and tell my testimony, like the whole testimony and everything. But that's just bits and pieces of like where I've been, what has happened, what has transpired, and the things that I've lost, the grief that I'm going through, and yeah, and where I am now and what I've learned. That's not all that I've learned, but that's good enough for now to know what I've learned with the Lord. So yeah, guys. Oh, and also any of my videos that I've had previously about like school, marriage, anything like that, none of that has transpired. I don't even see that in sight. None of it has transpired, but I trust God. And I'm going to leave it at that note. So please like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, I will be uploading more than likely weekly. I'm going to try to stay on track to upload weekly. And I hope that you become part of the family and just see what the God is doing in my life, what the Lord is doing in my life. I know I'm going to have a testimony at the end of this. And yeah, and I hope this will, encourage somebody who's going through something similar or who has gone through something similar. or going through something similar, or God is about to do something similar in your life, there is hope. Cleave to God and no one else. Trust God, not man. Point blank, period. All right, guys. Till next time. Bye.